Hi, this is Patrick Middleton, founder and Christian life coach for Voyag Institute. I'm here with John Hintz, president and advanced board-certified Christian life coach for Voyag Institute. We wanted to take the time to really explain what to expect from our book that was recently published and this amazing offer to receive up to 2 free hours of life coaching services, which is in of itself a phenomenal value. So welcome, John.
Hi Pat, how you doing?
I'm good. All right, so I'm really excited that we're able to offer this and really kind of just to shape the conversation in terms of what to expect for our clients and those that purchase the book. So just to share a little bit, I mean, we all know there's a lot of people that give themselves the title of life coach.
Yes.
So just to clarify for the audience, those listening to this podcast right now, share a little bit about your experience, qualifications, and education that really does qualify you as a quality Christian life coach.
Okay, so overall, it's about 20 years of experience between mentoring, teaching, peer supporting, and coaching. Different fashions of teaching, different fashions of mentoring, peer supporting, as well as coaching. I mean, it's a broad span. However, my education is, I do have a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology, and I have a Master's degree in Christian counseling and life coaching. I also hold a board certification through American Association of Christian Counselors. They have a subdivision referred to, or their acronym is IFCC, International Federation of Christian Coaches. I am board certified through them and have been for about 2.5 years now. So pretty well ready to start coaching.
Yeah, and one thing I've always respected about you, John, is it's like pulling teeth to get you to talk about yourself. You generally don't brag on yourself, and I respect kind of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But just to pause for a moment,
Okay.
Can you share a little bit about your work as in that peer support role for the Sheriff's Department and the work that you do with the retreats serving first responders?
Sure. I'm currently, for the Sheriff's Department, I'm our team's peer support coordinator. I started peer supporting roughly 2001. You start at a basic level, so you're a basic peer supporter anywhere from marriage issues to financial issues to just on-the-job kind of stress. Nothing critically based anyway, or trauma or crisis based. That takes some time. It takes some training. Also on our team, we prefer that people who are involved on what's called our CIRT team, Critical Incident Response Team, or even our Officer-Involved Shooting Team, have experienced those things. Because you need to be able to talk to a peer supporter that can relate to the peer who is struggling with those issues. So I started out basic. Probably 2 years later, I was invited to join the Critical Incident Response Team after I had my advanced training. And then, as luck would have it, our job goes, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. Shortly after that, I was invited to assist or take part in our officer-involved shooting team. So our critical incident response team and our officer-involved shooting team. From there, I just really kind of dug into it. Even though it's a collateral duty, it's not something I do every day. It's something we do collaterally. I really grew passionate about helping my peers. And one of the parent companies that we use, the parent company that we use for therapeutic services for critical incident and officer-involved shooting, asked me to start teaching with them. I also taught with a smaller company that was California Post certified. It's Peace Officer Standards and Training certified. They also asked me to start teaching with them. That company, the smaller company, they're no longer in existence. They were only around for a little while. But I teach a retreat, a 3-day retreat in Lake Arrowhead for post-care after an officer-involved shooting or in custody death. And I've also taught suicide awareness for law enforcement. And more recently, I've been invited to become the peer coordinator for a much more in-depth retreat. It's a 6-day retreat for those struggling with PTSD and the aftermath of PTSD, and some people who are struggling with issues in their life because of PTSD. So I'm helping to coordinate that and other peer supporters. Yeah, that's where that is. And then while all of that was going on, I really felt God led to go back to school, and there are my degrees. And knowing that I would need, in this field, like you said, there's a lot of people who hang the placard life coach, and some of them are certified by legitimate agencies. I mean, and then there's other people that are certified by not so legitimate agencies, and then there's other people who just call themselves a life coach. I'm not taking away from their experience or their ability to do so, but I think when you come to Voyage with you and myself, we do have the credentials, and if that's important to a person, we have them.
Perfect. Thank you, John. So moving from, and keeping that in mind, the caliber of coaching that you offer and your vast experience, and this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about being able to offer this to our readers. When a person buys the book, and actually I guess we should just stop right there for a moment. I guess the question that I have that a lot of people might ask is, well, why should someone buy the Voyage Institute Roadmap for a Christ-Centered Journey workbook? What's in it for them?
Oh, there's a lot in it for them. I mean, the book alone, it's a self-discovery book. It's not a self-help book. It's geared towards discovering where in our life we need growth, or where in our life we need balance. And a lot of times people, in my work in crisis and trauma, even on a smaller scale, if a person hasn't dealt with crisis or trauma to the degree of what first responders and military do, crisis and trauma can be anything from financial difficulties to a divorce, from sick children to just marital issues. And all of these cause imbalance in their life. But when a person's off balance, they have a hard time focusing on where the imbalance is really coming from. So the book itself will help identify some of those areas, or the area itself. So the value is in the book, and it's a $45 book, which seems kind of high, but when you consider the fact that once a person purchases a book, they can go to voyageinstitute.com, fill out a contact us form, send us their email and phone number, and from there we would have up to 30-minute conversation utilizing some of the initial tools in the book. It's important that they have the book to be able to do that, so that we can identify right off the bat maybe where some imbalance in their life lies. From there, if they are if they're convinced that what we're giving them, because really at this point we are giving them a lot, if they're convinced that what we're giving them is something that suits them, suits their schedule, we would move into a up to 90-minute free life coaching session.
That's huge.
Yeah, not initially. I mean, not initially in that first phone conversation. We would do it with their schedule, when they're, because people's schedules, people work. They have different schedules, and sometimes it's hard to squeeze that kind of time into a day. So we'll work with them, but the first life coaching session up to 90 minutes is free. So that's it. I mean, for $45, you can't beat that. Yeah, you can't beat that.
So just so I understand, and so our listeners understand, a person buys the book, which is roughly $45, and we'll have that information on where to order and where to get that at the end of this conversation. But it is also on the Voyage Institute website.
Yes.
Voyage,
yep.
Without an E.
Without an E.
Without an E. So they buy the book. They have up to a 30-minute initial discovery meeting at no cost.
At no cost.
And then they have a up to 90-minute initial life coaching session.
Correct.
At no cost.
Correct.
So a tremendous amount of coaching is being given to them really for free. I mean, that's just the price of the book.
Right.
So they're able to see growth and have that accountability and start moving forward and definitely have some direction there.
Yes.
So before we go into the structure of what that coaching looks like and what's in it for them, besides an amazing price point, can you share a little bit about the other authors in the book, their qualifications, their experience?
Absolutely.
I mean, at this point, we should all be assured that you're of high caliber, but what about the other authors?
Well, let's talk about you, Pat. I mean, I could say the same thing about you. You're not one to really brag about your qualifications, so I mean, I know you're highly qualified, but if you'd like to share that on your own, but let me start with Steve Morley, who is also one of the authors. Steve Morley is a executive, has spent many years in executive positions.
Truly brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He wraps his mind around processes like no other that I know. Then we have Jeff Cotterman, who owns his own business. His business, Tri-Systems, is he's a physical fitness consultant and holds certifications in physical fitness and diet. He's phenomenal. I mean, he offers not just physical training and diet, but he's also, from what I understand, we just had a conversation, he's brought aboard actual MDs that help with other issues. So he is well equipped to tackle any kind of physical issue. We have Dr. Bonnie Headland, who is a licensed psychologist, owns her own business. We also have Jeff Boyd, who is a financial consultant. So the areas of life that we work in, and you know, I've kind of failed to state this. You know, this is a God-centered journey, and biblically speaking, there's 5 areas of our life that we need to attend to, and that's our relationship with God, that's relationship with others, that's our mental health, our physical health, and our financial health. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people shy away from that, the financial aspect of it, but it is, you know, we're biblically commanded to be responsible with our money. We're biblically commanded to be responsible for our bodies and what it is that we think, and you know how it is that we think, what we're taking in, what we're consuming through our eyes and ears, and so I think that with this book, well, I know with this book, we're offering what we're offering is to bring balance to people's lives and an awareness of where balance is needed. So I'll just leave it open to you to be able to discuss your.
And before we do that, one person that we sometimes just leave outside of the mix in terms of because when we think about the book, we get so tunnel vision on certain areas of life that we at times we forget about how critical Larry Bevins has been in this whole journey.
Super critical.
Since before founding Voyage Institute, prior to that 2014 moment, to throughout just a continual support, business resource, marketing guru, and really developing the brand and look and feel of everything that we have. So share a little bit about his...
Well, I mean, I got to meet Larry through this process and through editing the book and putting the book together, and his eye for, you know, marketing, and his brain for marketing is, again, you know, it's phenomenal. Really, it is. He thinks of things that you and I, you know, in meetings have never thought of or would never stop to think of. So if a person is, if one of our clients is in the area of, or looking in the area of business marketing or leadership, between Larry Bevins and Steve Morley, and we've got quite the team that we can refer them to.
Yeah, and I love what Larry did with the look and feel of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know there are some workbooks out there.
There's a lot of workbooks out there
that are tedious to get through.
Oh.
Good quote unquote information, but it's the same dry pages, and not all are that way. There's some phenomenally designed ones, but there are some workbooks that are just really a grind to get through.
Right.
This looks so user friendly, so vibrant, so unique from page to page that it almost feels good just doing the workbook because it looks that good.
And we're not. I'm not trying to pitch the book, or we're not trying to pitch the book on the way it looks. But if anyone's ever really worked through a workbook,
they know.
And it's just words and lines and and repetitive.
Yeah.
It can be daunting.
And it takes away from the journey.
It takes away from the journey.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I mean, if we were to speak, in analogies, if you and I were to go on a journey, on a walk or a hike somewhere, what's better, to walk through a desert with nothing to look at, or walk through a mountainous pass that's got 10,000 things to look at and to keep you occupied? And it's just kind of the same thing. That's kind of the way I correlate it. I'd much rather walk down or walk up a vegetated trail, with
Me too.
with things to look at and animals, and it's just, it captures your attention and keeps your attention, versus walking down a desert highway.
Yeah. That's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
And so, two things I wanted to wrap this up with. One, what should somebody expect? Okay, they bought the book. They have this really informative discovery meeting where we're trying to figure out if it's a good fit. We're starting to engage them in questions, getting them to think about, the journey ahead and really kind of starting off on that next foot. And then they come to the actual initial free life coaching session, 60 to 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. Share a little bit about what's in it for the reader at that point. What should they expect from that initial coaching session?
Well, they can expect that the coach that they get is going to take an interest in them, and take an interest first and foremost in their life balance, progress, goal setting, achieving those goals. Should they go past the first session, it's really about finding purpose, and understanding what their purpose is. We're all given we all have God-given talents, gifts, and abilities, and sometimes we just don't know what to do with them, and a lot of people get confused with their passion must be where they get their paycheck, and that's not necessarily true. And of course that can cause a lot of unhappiness in a person's life, discontent, kind of this repetitive rut feeling, if they're doing something in their life where they have no passion. See, our passion drives, our purpose, or vice versa. Our purpose is our passion. And in finding life balance and we're able to really kind of know what God's purpose is for us. And in that first session, that's the main goal. We're going to shoot for the heart and help that person figure out at least somewhere where their talents, gifts, and abilities can be used, or the possibility. It's sometimes people come to us. I've had coaching clients that have come to me, and they're so fixated on a certain dream that they don't understand that the personality that's driving that dream could really translate into 100 different things. But they're so focused on using that talent, gift, or ability in one area that they just need somebody to pull them back away from that thing so that they get a wider perspective. And usually within the first 90 minutes, we can help a person kind of pull back and get a wider perspective on life and purpose and passion. So that's what they can expect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I know with recently, and actually before I share that, so just from my understanding, person buys the book for roughly $45. They get up to roughly 2 hours of coaching, an initial 30-minute discovery meeting, and then a separate structured initial coaching session.
Yes.
Up to 90 minutes in of itself.
Right.
So roughly, how many sessions does it take to go through the whole workbook in its entirety?
Well, really depending on the person, and because we're all unique, and I would say 6 to 8 weeks. The first week, of course, being the first session, Yeah,
which is free.
Which is free, and a little longer than most sessions would be. So they're almost really getting 2 full sessions before they even start.
That's huge.
But I would say 6 to 8 weeks, just depending on where we may need to work with a person. When we talk about integrated goals, which is really what we focus on in the book, we may find that the reader or our client needs to step outside of what we're doing and go to one of our specialists, and so that it could add a little time to it. So 6 to 8 weeks, and we're talking, with 8 chapters in the book, 5 of them really being the meat and potatoes of the book. 6 to 8 weeks.
Nice. So before we wrap up and we talk about where to buy the book and start that conversation with requesting information from voyaginstitute.com, Voyage spelled without an E, you shared with me an amazing story that you experienced with one of your clients recently, yesterday. And I was just so excited for that client and the progress that they made. And share a little bit about the journey of creating a mission statement.
Oh, okay.
And what a particular client, a recent client, did with that. And this particular client has posted all this information publicly, so
Yes.
we won't say their name, but just the general story is made public.
Yeah.
So share a little bit about that.
It was a really fun client because he came to me with just being very myopic, like I just got done explaining. But he had an issue that was so close to him, he couldn't really see the value in the talents that God had given him. And once he kind of pulled back and away from that, and he understood all the not responsibilities, but the possibilities of what those talents can do, not just for him in his life, but for God's kingdom. We worked through some processes very similar. We work through processes in the book, and if a person were to buy the book, they will find towards the end of the book we start talking about mission statements, a personal mission statement. And he was so motivated about writing this personal mission statement over the course of this 8 weeks or so that we were working together. He actually had that mission statement tattooed on the inside of his bicep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's actually doing kind of a motivational social media page, and he's proud of that tattoo. It became it became his life theme, to the point where he tattooed it on his body. And he's not crazy. I mean, the guy's absolutely sane.
He's very intelligent.
No, he's very intelligent. Really good guy.
Yeah.
But that's how passionate he became.
I love that story for 2 reasons. One, the work that he did, that you helped to facilitate, led to a very real and practical mission statement that he's able to apply in his day-to-day life and where he's headed for the future.
Right.
That in of itself is huge. The fact that he tattooed it on himself, that's him saying, this is legit, this is my direction in life.
Right.
Second, what I really liked about this story is this particular individual decided to use his God-given talents and abilities to start inspiring others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And pay it forward. And that's the stuff that gets me excited about just the work that can be done when we're focused on, okay, how do we use our God-given talents and abilities to serve others, and just really contributing to good things and good things for people centered on a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Right.
And I think you're really touching on a really big thing. Probably we can probably do a podcast about this later.
We should.
The idea or the what we face in society today is very me-centric, and it's okay if somebody comes into this journey me-centric. But what they're going to get out of it is it's others-centric, and once we understand that it's others-centric, then we understand what our purpose is, and then we understand where our talents can be of use to other people, and that's where our lives get fulfilled. I'm giving away a little bit of the coaching already, but that's where we find out that we're most fulfilled. I mean, in all we have to do is look at world history, and any leader who would have been dynamic if their purpose or their intended purpose was other than me-centric, they would have been phenomenal leaders. But because they were me-centric, they really fall in they've fallen into the realm of evil. So we have to be very careful about what it is we're searching for. And when somebody can think outside of themselves and they lose that nearsightedness, so many wonderful things and huge things can happen in their life. I mean, it's, pay it forward. We get good movies, and with those really feel-good movies about paying it forward. It's really true. There's some truth to it, and that's why it strikes us. It strikes our emotions so deeply because there's truth to it. There's truth to helping others, and being of service to others. Servant leadership is really, to me, the only leadership. I don't want to get into that discussion, but maybe that's another one we can have some other time.
Can't give them everything.
Can't give them everything.
Save some stuff for the
Can't give them
coaching.
everything, but again, taking that me-centric mentality and growing it into an everyone else centric just changes things. And I think we said in our last podcast, we're not about the name it and claim it. We're here to tell you that life is going to be difficult. But here's the problem, and I'm going to get into a little bit of coaching here too. If we're me-centric, we have no relationships with others. So when we run into problems, who can we turn to? We haven't developed deep enough relationship that when we're really hurting, we won't have those people, those deep relationships that we can turn to people for.
So true.
So yeah, that was a great story. I have to bite my tongue so I don't say his name because he's such a good guy, And when he tagged me in the post of that tattoo, my floor hit the ground. Like, wow, that's pretty cool, So
that's awesome.
But before we go, you haven't given your credentials yet, so.
That's true. So I have my master's degree in counseling psychology for marriage and family therapy. Mm-hmm. And for the last roughly 8 years or so, I've been applying coaching skill sets and talents in an educational counseling role, working with non-traditional adult college students, helping them set and achieve goals related to their education, and really just kind of navigating what it looks like to take another turn in life. Most of the students that I've worked with over the years, I would say would fit into one of three categories. It's the I'm already doing well, and I want that next degree, bachelor's or master's degree, to achieve more.
Right.
And so more higher functioning, they're already goals driven, just providing some accountability and enough empathetic conversations to get them taking action on the things that are really best for them that they want to do, and helping them navigate what that looks like for them personally, and keeping in mind that the plan that they create is going to have to allow for a balance of time, and so working with them on that. Second category of students that I've worked with would be the people that are making a transition, and they're stepping out of or away from their current role and what they've done for so long. And I know you can relate to this and understand that, when we walk away from the things that we know we can do and comfortably do to something that, we're unsure of, there's a certain amount of anxiety in that.
Yeah,
there's
a
certain
grieving
amount
process,
of just not knowing what that next step is, and then being afraid to take those steps.
Right.
So from a coaching standpoint, just hearing them out, understanding what their eventual future goals are. And I have a process that I used in this environment that I called the window of opportunity, and it explored different things, but one of the main thing that it explored was their God-given talents and abilities, and with the understanding that we have those for a reason. God has equipped us for a purpose.
Right.
A part of our job in life is to figure that purpose out, because I don't know about you, John, but I've never got an email from God.
No, I haven't.
I've never got a text.
No.
There's no post on social media from God to Pat saying, hey, this is what I want you to do today.
Right.
So, part of our job in life is to figure that out. And just take an honest assessment. It's like, okay, we have these strengths. I'm good with people. I love to listen. I love to help.
Right.
What does that look like in a vocation.
Right.
So just helping that person work through, okay, I'm going to turn my life away from this occupation towards this occupation.
Right.
And what does that look like for them personally?
Right.
And then the third category of students that I've worked with are those that have no clue what they want to do because they haven't done very much.
Right.
And that is very normal. We all have, as we progress through life, there's always a stage of life where we haven't really done enough to know, and that's
Right.
okay.
That's okay.
So it's a different set of questions, and it's really, really, really taking time to explore strengths and
Right.
talents and more research of looking at opportunities and just, facilitating that forward action, more directive, and being a resource for them. So that's kind of what my last 8 years have looked like. I've also managed teams but my experience in terms of what I'm most proud of is the work that I've done with students. And my master's degree is in counseling psychology for marriage and family therapy, and my bachelor's degree is a double major in psychology and business administration.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So before we do close, though, you several times you said the word work. Is that something you think somebody's going to be expected to do if they work with us through the book? I mean, that's really kind
of course, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think there's anything great in life that can be accomplished without work.
Exactly.
We can't sit on our tush on the couch
Right.
and be physically fit.
No.
We've got to get up and move. We've got to do things.
Yes.
I love a book that Pastor Miles wrote. Just Do Something, I think is the title.
Okay.
And now I feel horrible because I'm forgetting the name of the book at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's Just Do Something! !
Right.
And it's about taking action. And yes, it's work, but it's a good work. It's a work, it's an investment in ourselves and our capacity to love God, capacity to relate and love others. Every area of life is incredibly important and interconnected and interwoven with other areas. So when we look to strengthen our life, and sometimes, and I'm sure you have this experience, like I talk with other people, Christians and non-Christians, and sometimes there's this sense of guilt about, I don't want to focus on me because I don't want to look self-centered.
Right.
When in reality, you've got to be able to stand yourself before you can help someone else, and the stronger we are, and I don't mean this in terms of we should just be self-centered, but just the practicality of it, the closer we are to God, the better off we are to help people get close to God.
Right.
The better relationships we are, the more fruit that those relationships are going to bear, and the more we're able to help other people do the same. And in every area of life that can be said and true of. So just kind of a personal thing that I like to include in my coaching as well is, I believe that there's always a reason why God allows us to go through the things that we go through and experience the things that we go through. I won't go into it in this podcast, but with my personal background, my personal story, I believe a part of the reason why God allowed me to go through the challenges that I did was to turn around and help other people go through those challenges and maybe navigate it a little bit better than I did.
Right.
Maybe not make as many dumb mistakes like I did.
Right.
And I just feel like that is a huge source of joy in being able to realize there is meaning behind suffering, and sometimes that meaning is to turn around and help someone else go through that suffering to help them.
Right. We can't give somebody something we don't have. So if we don't have the knowledge or we don't have the advice because we've not experienced it, then we have nothing to offer. You were talking about, I like using analogies, I think, but when you were talking about working through things and having the ability to help others work through things, it's kind of like being a personal trainer. You can be a personal trainer and teach someone how to bench 300 pounds, but teaching them to bench 300 pounds doesn't mean you can bench 300 pounds. You have to put the work in too. So, dude, that's so insightful.
So let's wrap up.
Okay.
I guess the last call to action for everybody listening is please buy the book. It's a useful tool in and of itself. Is worth way more than $45. But then when you tack on the additional up to 2 hours of life coaching that you're getting for free to help you launch your journey. And even if you just stop with that coaching, we're fine with that. Whatever's best for you. And but at a minimum, buy the book, get those free 2 hours of coaching up to, and start that journey. And just to let the readers know, there's different ways that, or listeners, the different ways you can purchase the book. Probably the main way would be go to voyageinstitute.com. So that's voyageinstitute.com. And there's information about our life coaching services as well as a link to purchase the book. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and I think 30 other online retailers.
All kinds of online retailers. Speaking of which, we should be hearing some good news here pretty soon from Spring Arbor, which is a Christian book outlet. We're not there yet, but because they're very picky as to what books they pick up. But I think we'll be hearing something from them here pretty soon.
That's great.
So yeah.
Well, thank you, John, for letting me pick your brain for a little bit, and I hope that this adds value to.
Yeah, thank you for letting me turn the tables and pick yours again too. So, yeah, for the listeners, that we will be having more and more podcasts, shorter ones probably. This one's close to 37, 38 minutes, but be looking for some of the shorter 5 and 10 minute ones that will help you through the book and hopefully uplift you and kind of give you some direction. But thank you again to anyone who listens to this. We appreciate you, and God bless.